Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Nuts and Bolts interview. Today, I am talking with Bluey from the Christchurch Conquerors. And speaking of playing well, let's have a bit of a look at the game we played against the Action X last Friday night. So, using Strat Sketch here, just want to try and break down that game a bit because. The first game that you played on Prokhorovka there anyway, at least. We'll go into a little bit of detail on that. So, Prokhorovka is always one of those maps to me where, as a layman, it's really hard for me to sort of pick up where it is because you've always got, like, all these little dips all around here. And, like, I don't quite know myself where's safe, but the ANZPL, obviously being really experienced players, play this so well, and I'm always really pleased to see it when it comes up, when you see players playing in the ditches or over the railway line as well. And you can see starting off, you guys were on attack. You've sent one tank up onto the hill over on the 9-0 line here, and then 3 tanks along the train line, and then yourself over here on your lonesome. So I kind of saw this as a little bit fortuitous, and I don't quite know what was going through CJ's head in his little Manticore down here. So Manticore's being the light tank, he was there scouting out, but he spotted you, but you didn't spot him, and he chose to try and put a few shots into you. What was your thought process going through there when he put those shots in and you saw him, and what were you thinking? Because you were in the back chat there, so that was an interesting matchup between a back chat and a Manticore.
Yeah, when we go and play each team each week, we of course go and watch their footage and try to play around what they're going to do a little bit, which normally I was just probably leaving a tank by itself on the one line isn't the greatest idea. But watching footage, we know they will like to play aggressive on this 2 line if stuff gets spotted over the other side. So the reality of it is there's kind of creating a little trap. Seeing that Manticore, of course, the bat chat clips that out pretty easily. And if I remember correctly, I think we spotted each other at the same time.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was looking back at a little bit of the footage, and I must admit I blast through the footage on review a little bit. And so you were aware that he was coming down that line because looking at the footage, it didn't look like when he put the shots on, he kind of spotted you first from this position, and then he shot you and you spotted him. But I think you must have spotted him further down the line, so you were aware that he was coming up the 2 line there at least.
Yeah. I guess the longer I can hold a shell, hopefully the further he can get in, which means he's got further to run away to get safe. Is kind of the thinking. Yeah. But in our minds, we're just trying to, in the worst case scenario, trade 1 tank for 1 tank.
Yeah. Well, you did a bit better than that in the end because after CJ attacked you there, I think you got 2 or 3 shots into him, and he's run away down here and critical from the train line. I think he's found a little gap in the train and gotten a shot onto CJ and taken him out, and that happened about a minute 20 into the 8-minute game. So already they're a tank down, and it's their scouting tank. So it's the quick one that they're trying to get the information with. So they're already at a disadvantage. So that was a great win for you guys early on, and put the Action X on the back foot. So then later on, things kind of balanced out a bit. The tank on the hill has pushed down here, and Mary Turnip, I think it was.
It was.
Yeah, he's ended up in this little battle with Iron Guard there. I've forgotten who this one was, but this was Saxon here for the Action X, as well as Critical, and I think yourself is headed down here towards where Dongalord was in the IS-7. So can you talk us through what was going on here and what the aims were?
Well, at this point, when they got their light tank out and we are taking control of this side of the map here, we're basically able to box them into a corner. And from that point, when we have them in this corner, you get really nice crossfires. So you can have tanks sitting here, tanks sitting here, tanks coming here, and you've got all different angles on all different positions where you can pick tanks really easily where they can't really do anything about it. So having control of half of this one line and then having all the way up to A6, it's less deliberate calls of trying to pick a tank and more just working angles and getting in sneaky shots.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of shows at the end of the game. You look at the damage output, it was all very even. Everyone had about 2k or a little bit above. And that was purely because at this point here, everyone's just doing little shots of damage, little opportunistic shots as turrets are facing the other way.
And it definitely showed, Mary Turnip was popping up over the railway line here and putting shots into Saxon. I think Critikill over here was the one that ended up getting the kill. And then after Saxon was gone, you can just poke a little bit more and get rid of Iron Guard then. But one battle I want to highlight a little bit here was the one between yourself and Dongalord down here. So you'd already copped a couple of shots and were down to about 1,000 damage, and Dongalord I don't think had copped anything yet. Can you just talk us through that little bit of an encounter there?
Yeah, well, this is the power of a Batchat. Batchat has a clip that averages a little over 1,800 damage. And it does it in 5 shells with 2.7 seconds in between. Whereas the K90, pretty sure it was K91, is just a high DPM fast reload tank. So if there's a prolonged engagement where you need more than 5 shells, or there's lots of tanks, the K91's great if they're pushing in front of you because you can get lots of shots off over the space of more time. But the Batchat is purely the 1v1 king. Against anything that has, 1,900 hit points or less, there's a good chance you're going to clip it out with your 5 shells. Yeah. So it doesn't matter if you've taken a hit or two, it's still very scary.
Yeah.
And I think what happens in that fight, if I remember correctly, someone else gets one shot in, which makes it a little bit easier for myself. So.
Yeah, that's it. And that makes your 1,800 clip damage just that little bit more effective against him as well. And tell you what, it got very close there, though. I think you escaped that battle on 41 health. But by that point, the game was pretty much over. Iron Guard, Saxon, and Dongalord down. Just poor old Eugene sitting in the middle here, waiting for it to be collapsed upon, and it happened. He dumped over the ridge lines here, and he was gone. And that was the match for you guys on Prokhorovka there. So that was definitely for me. It was an entertaining battle, and like I said, I love always seeing the angles on Prokhorovka, and even the little battles that happen over ridges that you don't think is there. It's the same reason I really quite like watching the Sand River map. I know it's very defensive, but just watching the experience of the players that play those maps, knowing that you can sit here and not get hit.
Yeah, it's true on maps like this. That you don't have those real corridor fights like you do on a Himmelsdorf or a Ghost Town or something. You really do just have to know your angles really well. So yeah.
Cool. So one thing I did want to ask about this, because the Manticore is not a usual tank that gets picked out for the light tank scouting sort of thing. Normally you see the T100 LT come out. So what's the difference between a Manticore and the T100 LT?
So when you pick a Manticore, you're basically losing a bunch of combat capacity for the pure ability to be sneaky. And it's a lot harder to get spotted. I think in reality, it turns out to be, rather than getting spotted at 70 meters, it turns out to be about 55 meters to 50 meters, which is about what we call proxy range, which every tank within 50 meters gets spotted.
Yep.
So there are some situations where a Manti can be really scary because you're never going to be able to spot it. But that moment that we have with Action X when it's playing more aggressive and has to play that active role, that's where it starts to be a little bit weaker.
So the T100 LT just has a little bit more bite.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. So in this case, Action X were more hoping to just sort of keep him hidden and hope that he'll pick up a lot more information, which unfortunately didn't go their way. But luckily for you, was able to get an early tank kill and press the advantage into the win there, and end up taking the Series 3-1 to cement your spot at the top there, which is really amazing to see. And I want to have a quick chat about the next upcoming game. So there's no games this Friday because of the Easter long weekend.
Yep.
So that on the 22nd of April, you guys will be facing off against the Scorpions. Now, Scorpions are just a really tough team, even though you couldn't really tell it by their stats at the moment because they've had one win, one loss, one tiebreaker win, one tiebreaker loss. So they're really spreading the love around in the in that regard there. What sort of challenges do you see in taking on the Scorpions? Because like I've seen them play the Himmelsdorf map, and they are just clinical on there. And really, with JT calling, JT just has this ability to pull out shots that you think, nah, nobody's going to hit that, and all of a sudden he's hit it. Now, what are you looking out for in particular against those teams? Because like Russian and Napalm and Aussie, none of those guys are slouches either.
I think there's a few things when it comes to Scorps. They're always scary. On paper, sometimes you look at their results and it doesn't look that way, but everyone's always going to put a lot of effort into their games against Scorps. JT has lots of experience, of course, being back in the day playing for TE. Like he knows what he's doing. He's constantly scrimming, constantly playing in the 5v5 hub. He knows how to what he's doing in that regard. But I think the biggest thing with the Scorpions is their roster has barely changed in probably like a year and a half. I think while some teams have got some stronger players in that time, their roster is so good together. And then you've got their carry players and like Russian as well. It makes them really scary because, as you said, they can be really clinical. I'm just hoping that we can be more so in 2 weeks' time. I'm still confident, but of course they're a scary team. We treat them as such. That's it. You give them the respect they deserve, and I think that can be said about any team in the league. Like, it's on their day, any team can beat any other team. Like seeing the Sentinels go down 4-0 against you guys, see the Bulldogs come up against the Scorps and win that one, and then the next week see the Panthers beat the Bulldogs. So it's really quite an interesting league, and I love that it's so close. And I love that even like for season 3 for the Panthers to come from 7th to get into a grand final is crazy. And I see with only 6 teams in the league this year, even more of a chance to that. And I feel like it's just such an exciting competition when all teams can be vying for finals, even right up until the last round. Yeah, and certainly with going to 6 teams, all teams, in my opinion, got stronger. Like the gap has closed. So we're getting all these exciting games, which last season there might have been a few blowouts, but it's really fun not only to play but also to spectate. We'll certainly getting very excited last Friday night at some of those games, watching the Scorps and Sants, watching God Mode. In God the Panthers. Did you see that?
He's built different, isn't he?
What a way to make your PL debut, right?
But I had something there. Nope, it's gone now. That's all right.
That's all right.
But just one last question I want to ask about for you. How's your fantasy league team going?
Well, this question is always a little bit unfair because I do have a lot of insider information. This is why we can't win the prizes.
Yeah, that's it. And I should state both the players and the casters I think can't win, or the wargaming staff can't win the prizes in the fantasy league. But it's always interesting to see where people sit.
Yeah, I think I'm doing all right. Look, when it comes to, I'm pretty fortunate at the moment. The Conks players, my guys are doing well in fantasy, and that also means that I know what tanks they're playing on a Friday night, and I know who's going to be farming up the damage.
That's it, yeah.
It's that's why we can't win the prizes, right?
That's it, yeah.
But I think some good picks going forward for your other stars. If God Mode's playing, you can't go past that. You've got Raspberry from the Scorpions. They're good value picks.
Raspberry is such a good value pick. Like, he features quite heavily in my team because he's only a 1-star player, but if he's in, he's always doing lots of damage and farming up those points.
Yeah. Oh, and unfortunately for Raspberry, he's in a really strong team. And he's a really strong player himself that is good enough to play every week. But, unfortunately there's 7 to a team and you can only play 5.
That's it, yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Bluey, for joining me today, talking about your matches, and good luck for your game against the Scorpions in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bluey from the Christchurch Conquerors, for having a chat with us there. It was so good. I was talking to Natty during the little quiet period we have between the weekly show and Nuts and Bolts, and I just love how interested and what's the right word? Enthusiastic all the World of Tanks players are for the ANZPL, and getting to chat with them is just... I love it. I love it. And what I love even more is the personalities. And if I ever get Bluey on camera for an interview, I want to see the chicken.
We must have the chicken.
That's it. We need the chicken, and we need some like in-depth analysis from the chicken. Like, how do you think that went?
It's a 1 egg or 2 eggs today.
That's it, yeah. 2 eggs, that means it was a good game. Awesome. But yeah,
What's a double yolker mean?
Oh, I don't know. One egg with a double yolker, is that like really good? Or is that... actually, completely unrelated. I had... I was making a scrambled eggs one night, and I had 3 eggs I pulled out. All 3 of them were double yolkers. Like, how lucky do you have to be?
Did you just go and buy a lotto ticket after that?
It didn't help me. Like, I still didn't win anything in the lotto. But yeah, like 3 double yolkers. How cool.
That's crazy. There was a place near me that, because you can tell by the weight of them, they actually would sell trays of double yolkers.
Oh, wow.
Oh, so good.
Nice.
Not good for the people that want egg whites only, but great for me.
But anyway, that's enough talk about chickens. Welcome to Nuts and Bolts. Thanks again, Bluey, for that interview. Great having a chat about those Prokhorovka strats there. And hello, Natty. How have you been now that we've had a chat about a wonderful egg that is not just for breakfast food?
I've been doing okay. It's been a very, very big week in local ANZ esports, and so pretty keen to catch up on that.
Oh yes. Well, let's catch up on our ANZPL news first, because we had some pretty exciting games happen over the weekend. So first, the Adelaide Action X, as we said in the interview with Bluey there, went down 1-3 to the Christchurch Conquerors, giving them like a pretty handy lead at the top of the ladder this early in the season. So good for the Conquerors, not so good for the Action X. The Sydney Derby went to a tiebreaker. Actually, that was an interesting game because the South Sydney Scorpions won the first 2 games on the Sentinels map choice, and then the Sentinels reverse swept. So they won the 2 games on the Scorpions map choice and then won the tiebreaker. So it was interesting that none of the teams won a game on their own map choice there. So, but very, very close games in part there. So very, very fun to watch. And lastly, finally, my Perth Panthers have a win against the Brisbane Bulldogs. So that was a bit of an interesting game there. Like, it was a bit of a couple of the games was a bit of a combination of the Bulldogs leaving their push too late and the Panthers playing well enough to stretch the time out, because 2 of their wins came from timed wins for the Panthers, which was really good. And then the one that they had a capture win, they just managed to position themselves well. I think there was three Panthers and 1 Bulldog left, and there was just no time to go searching. All 3 of them jumped on the cap and got the cap. So that was really cool. With Madhouse, who was the one left, was trying his darndest to try and get the resets on, but just couldn't get there in the end. So, Panthers with their first win of the season there, which is amazing to see. Let's have a look.
I'm glad one of our teams got up this week.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, let's have a look at the ladder, because it is super tight. I mentioned that the Conquerors have opened up a bit of a lead themselves there. So that's a one game lead from the Scorpions and the Sentinels there on 6 points. But the other 3 teams in the league all on 5 points. So it's still tight. Even the last place team at the moment is just really well positioned to jump up the ladder. And we're 4 of the 10 rounds done now. So after the next round, we'll be halfway through the season, and we'll start the rematches in the double round robin. It's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. You know, will the Conquerors continue their little bit of a hot streak? Because like we're saying in the Bluey interview there, them picking up Mary Turner and Whippet, and I think Whippet was the one that was the Matilda's shot caller. So they're just molded the teams together really well, and there's a reason why Conquerors players are featuring so heavily in the Fantasy League this year, between Mary Turnip, Whippet, and Trax as well. It's crazy. And speaking of that, let's have a little bit of a look. And I was actually a little bit surprised in this, although that might have been a little bit because they shared around the damage a little bit this week. But no Christchurch Conquerors in the best team for the Fantasy League this week.
Ah, that's really interesting. So they shared the love.
There was there's a little bit of text that was on the Fantasy League page that isn't on this little snippet that we see there. It was that Mary Turnip did get enough points to make the team, but because of the star restrictions, he couldn't be fit into that team. So this was the best team that could be made with points versus star ratings. So
gotcha.
Yeah. So very exciting. I'm happy. I'm almost on the front page of the
yes.
I'm making my way up there. We're getting there very, very slowly. Maybe there's still a chance that I get above J-rated. We'll find out. And then, of course, we've got next week's matches. So, actually, I say next week's matches. It's actually next round, because Friday being Good Friday, the ANZPL is taking a week off. So they will be back on Friday, the 22nd of April. Now, this first game, this one's my pick for the game of the round, the Conquerors versus the Scorpions. So the Scorpions are always a dangerous team, and seeing how they'll go up against the Conquerors will be very interesting, seeing what's going on there. And then we'll have the Adelaide Action X versus the Brisbane Bulldogs. So this might be a chance for the Action X to strike back there, Natty.
Fingers crossed. I'm excited because I think with all the tiebreaker wins and losses, it's making this interesting score-wise, and Adelaide Action X is still in the mix. So
that's it. And it's one thing I mentioned to Bluey was that, like, even though you might be last on the table, you still have a chance to make finals. And with only 6 teams and 4 playing finals, if you're within striking distance, you could be in the last round. Like, even last season with the 8 teams, we saw Panthers make the finals from 7th. So it's going to be a very, very interesting thing. And then the Panthers versus the Sentinels will round out that match in a week's time. So on the 22nd of April there. So fingers crossed the Panthers might be able to pull out another win there, or at least a tiebreaker win, just to give them those extra bits of points that they need to keep in touch with the group. So, actually, you did mention a little bit about the ladder there, and I did want to mention something that was interesting to me about the ladder. So, the North Sydney Sentinels are the only team without an outright win, but because they've had 3 tiebreaker wins, they're sitting there on 6 points, which puts them in 3rd. And I just find that a little bit interesting, that you cannot have an outright win but still be sitting so high. And I guess that's the benefit of the tiebreaker win and tiebreaker loss point situation.
Yeah, it certainly does give you some reward for being in it and being close and fighting it out to the bitter end.
Yeah. I do like it a lot better than the ties that we used to have, like, because you could have a 2-2 game and each team would get a point, and it didn't separate the teams out enough. But the tiebreaker win, tiebreaker loss just gives it that extra little bit of oomph.
Yes, absolutely. I think it just creates that extra exciting element for the players to be pushing for. So, good.
So we might not have any ANZPL this week, but Monday the ANZPL is kicking off, and I'm really excited for this because it's a whole new league now. They've brought in an extra team. They've actually brought in 2 extra teams. So the Auckland Archers have come down from the PL and are in the B League now. And the new team, the Bundaberg Badgers, is come on board as well. So,
I love that.
Yeah. I do like that. Like there was a few like Townsville Tigers being floated around as ideas in the draft chat when they announced the name, but Bundaberg Badgers, I do like that. That's pretty cool.
No, that's perfect.
So the Badgers and the Archers joined the Wollongong Wolverines, Canberra Centurions, Cairns Comets, and Hawthorn Hellcats to make up the ANZBL. But what makes this even more exciting is the chance for promotion. So the top team in the ANZBL will play off with the bottom team in the ANZPL for the chance for either promotion or relegation. So that just makes it even more exciting for me.
Oh,
because,
excellent.
Yeah, it just means that you can earn your place in the PL. It will be interesting to see how much or even if there's that skill gap between them. But there's still some really, really, really cool players that are in these teams. So I'm excited to see that. So kicking off Monday from 5 o'clock Australian Standard Time. See the Badgers take on the Archers, the Wolverines take on the Centurions, and the Hellcats take on the Comets as well. So
I love all these names. Amazing.
I do as well. And we can't forget as well that the Cairns Comets started out as an ANZPL team as well.
They did.
They were one of the first teams in the B League as well. So good to have them in there too. So actually that makes it, there's two Brisbane team, or 2 Queensland teams, sorry, in the Wollongong's New South Wales, isn't it? Sorry, my Eastern States geography is not
I really should know that, but I don't. So I'm going to ask Google.
I'm pretty sure Wollongong's New South Wales, and
yes,
then
New South Wales.
Yeah, and Hawthorn's in Victoria. So got a good representation. No second Adelaide or Perth team there. Maybe that's for an expansion later. Maybe that'll be for ANZ 3L, like the third league, if we get an expansion later on down the track.
It could be. I mean, there's only 6 teams in the BL, so they've definitely got room to put a couple more teams in there if they want to.
That's it.
I'm pretty keen to bring back the Adelaide Rams in some form.
Yeah. Ooh.
Adelaide Rams.
I don't know what, like, you might have. I'm just trying to think because like Fremantle's usually the next Australian town that it's still part of Perth, but that's generally where people go for now. But maybe we could have Geraldton something. Geraldton.
Oh,
I don't know enough. Tanks. Yeah, no, I'll have to have a bit of a think about that, I reckon.
Well, we'll think about it.
We'll pitch it to Carath and Jay Rated and see.
We want to see these teams in the league. Yeah.
Next expansion teams. Here we go. This is what we want. Cool. But yeah, that's the ANZ PL and BL for now. But let's not forget that Monday night was a very exciting night for Australian esports because we saw the LCO playoff grand final for the chance to head to MSI in Busan, Korea. And who would have thought it? Order defeated the Chiefs 3-2 in the best of 5 series.
It was just so nuts. I know both of us were kind of tied up in a meeting for part of it, but I was watching the first game and saw Order get up, and I was just like, yes, believe in BioPanther. He's got this. Like, I truly, after seeing his pre-match interview where he was just saying to the guys, you got to put it all on the line. You know, this is the most important match. If you want to get to MSI, this is it. You know, put it all out there. Yeah. And I think that he really stepped up in that leadership role and put the fire under them. And they won that first match up, you know, reasonably convincingly. It wasn't a long fight, and really, I think, surprised a lot of people.
Well, Orders run through the final, so they finished 4th in the LCO after the split ended. And for those that aren't aware, the top 5 playoffs. So the first team get a week off. 1, 2, and 3 play, and 4 and 5 play. So Order up until this game had not dropped a game. They beat the Direwolves 3-0. They beat Peace 3-0. They beat Pentanet 3-0. And then beat the Chiefs 3-2. Like, it's crazy how good of a run they had. Like 12-2. 12 games to 2 in the entire final series there.
Yeah, and nuts, absolutely nuts. I was reading up on Isaac McIntyre's take. He's a esports writer for .esports, and he was just talking about that Cinderella run. Like, they didn't do the best in the standard season, and then as soon as grand finals kicked in, they were just like, let's go.
Yeah.
Like 3-zip, 3-zip, 3-zip. We were just like, whoa.
What is going on? Yeah. And especially after Pentanet took the Chiefs to the 5 games and how epic those games were. Like, I'll say I was calling the Pentanet Chiefs grand final, and then when Order went 3-0 against Pentanet, it was like, wow, Order are the real thing here. They've got a serious chance, and now they're heading to Busan and MSI. And you like you're saying, you've got to count the experience of Biopanther there when they head over, because he's obviously got the experience in MSI with Pentanet last year, and I think the way Pentanet performed there, I think if he can take that and give that knowledge and feeling to the rest of the Order guys going over, they'll have a great time. They'll be relaxed. There'll be no expectations, and we might even see another OCE team make it out of the group stages.
That would just be awesome. And I think, there's still a little bit of disarray out there in the world, still a little bit of, things not quite going the way people want. COVID's still throwing a bit of a spanner in the works, and it could be OCE's chance to capitalise on that.
It could. Well, it's funny you say that, because when Pentanet went to MSI, there was a team, I can't remember the region that couldn't make, I think it was Vietnam that couldn't make it over there because of COVID. And Pentanet ended up in a 3-team bracket, which made it a lot easier for them to try and make playoffs, because you only had to be better than one other team, which was good, because I think Damwon Kia was the other team, or there was some really good team in their group, and there was no way in hell they were beating them. And so they made it through on that. And now with the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the Russian team isn't coming. So if Order end up in another 3-team bracket, it could be like this could set it up for Order to make another run.
That's really interesting. I don't know why I hadn't thought of that until you just said it. That could definitely be the potential lineup for Order, but I don't know, man. They've got the secret sauce. I don't think they need it. I think they're gonna make it through the first round. We're flying the flag of this OCE optimism. I think we got it.
That's it. That's it. We've got it. This MSI. This is Orders. Damn right.
Oh, they're
going all the way. Like they're continuing this run that they've got, and they're taking it all the way to the MSI final. Put money on it now. Come on.
All right, do it. Actually, the odds would be interesting right now.
That's it. You can just put $10 on them, and when it happens, you'll make a mint. But yeah, so Order join the teams that are already on their way to MSI. We've got G2 from Europe, T1 from Korea, Istanbul Wildcats from Turkey, Detonation Focus Me from Japan. So there's still a few leagues that haven't had their playoffs just yet, but they are coming, and by the end of this month we will know who's going to MSI, and hopefully not long after that we'll know what the group stages are going to be like. So that's looking forward to that. And like I think we mentioned last week as well, because it's in Korea, they're in a friendly time zone for Australia, so it means we're not going to be up at stupid o'clock in the morning trying to watch games, which is even better.
That'd be good. I don't know how I'm going to get away with having it on at work potentially, though.
Well, see, I think I might be able to, but not. I'd have to be like sneaky about it, but I think I could get away with it.
I'm seriously thinking I might see if I can run a pool at work. And then that way I'll get everybody else interested, and then they'll want to watch it too. So it won't just be me being the
yeah. Well, an interesting thing. You could do like a sweep, and so people don't have to know anything about it. They just put their $2 or $10 in or whatever you want to do, and you pull the name out of the hat, and you go, "Oh yes," and then you've got a team to follow.
I think it's a good plan.
I'm writing that. I'm writing that down. MS. Oh my god, this pen. Anybody got a pen that works? But anyway, well, an MSI sweepstakes chart.
Oh, look, if you put one together, I will steal it.
Hell yeah. I'm going to put it together. I'm going to put it on our website, gameonoz.com, and like say, here you go. Anybody that wants to get other people interested in the MSI and League of Legends, let's do it. Let's just do it. I mean, Raven's behind us as well. We've got the plan. Sort of done. Cool. So that's the main sort of esports gaming news that we got. But there was a little bit of controversy this week. In fact, I think this came out yesterday, the day before. So we're going to show you a video here. I'm going to turn the volume up a little bit. Not that the volume totally matters, but you'll be able to see. It happens in the first sort of 10 seconds. So this is Flexify. He's number 2 ranked in COD Vanguard, and he's been hit with some irrefutable cheating evidence here. So it's already happened. In case you didn't see it, we're going to pause it here. So after he died, you can see here where there's these red bits, which are showing the outlines of opposition players. So he's got a hack installed that lets him see through walls. And that's a bit shitty, just to put it mildly.
I like that. Yeah. Very, very classy. It's just a bit shitty.
Yeah. Like I've got some other stronger words I'd like to use, but I'll stick with a bit shitty for now.
Yeah. Oh, look, it is absolutely a dog play for anybody who is playing professionally to be using mods and cheats like this. It's just completely negates the integrity of the league and puts everything a step back.
I will say that this was him just playing on his own stream, so it wasn't as part of a competition. And he's come out and said that he was using it to grind to get skins, I think. But even that's not a good reason to do it. Like, why do it at all? Like, I know you'll feel pressure in trying to do what you want to do and get those skins and grinding. And I know the grind is hard, but come on, like have some integrity in what you're doing.
Yeah, I think if you are a professional in an esport, unfortunately you do get that ambassador kind of status. We see it all the time in Australian sports when Australian sports star goes and gets caught up in a scuffle at the pub, and it's on the front page of the news, and it represents the league and it sets an example for the younger players, and it does have that flow-on effect. Unfortunately, you can't just say, "Oh, I was just doing it in my own time." It doesn't work that way.
It definitely does not, and I'm yet to hear of any ramifications for him professionally with Call of Duty Vanguard, but he has released a statement via Longer. I'm not going to read it all, but basically he just says, "I don't know what I was thinking. I was just trying to get these skins. I think it was dumb." And he goes on to say how hard he was grinding and that he didn't use it to get to number 2. But it's just, even if this is the only time you've ever done something like this, the stigma is there now. He is forever going to be looked at, and you know what Twitch chat's like. You've seen it. Anybody that's been in a competitive sport has seen how bad Twitch chat can get in some of these events sometimes. Any event that he's in, Twitch chat will be flying with accusations that he's cheating.
Yeah.
100%. And no matter how well he does, he could be honest and for the rest of his life and get to number 1, and people will still think he's cheating now. And it's part, like, it's sad because I do believe in redemption. Like, and punishment and serving your time as well. But in this case, like, he's number 2. He should know better than to do anything like this. And Raven in our Twitch chat here has said he's representing a brand even when not an official business. I wouldn't even say he's representing a brand, but when it comes to sports, man, in field sports, the amount of drug testing and all the other testing that they have to go through. One of the West Coast Eagles AFL players here got banned for 2 years from the sport, not because he tested positive, but because he was piss farting about and didn't take the test properly. And so he got banned for 2 years just for that. And it's just, you really need that sort of a response to this sort of cheating in esports as well. Like, Will Smith slaps Kevin Hart and he gets 10 years banned from the Oscars, or from the Academy as well. Like, there has to be a severe punishment to deter this sort of behavior. And as long as people just see that it's just a game, or think that it's just a game, it's going to be like this. But it's not just a game. It's anything that if you're a professional player, anything that you do is going to be looked at and scrutinized, and you need to take it seriously. And people go, oh, it's just lines of code. It's just a program. But it's not just a program. It's people's livelihoods, and just what if he does get any sorts of suspensions out there, he'll be crying. He'll be setting up a GoFundMe page somewhere saying, I can't afford to eat anymore. And go, well, you should have thought about that before you installed a hack. So,
I think we've all been in the position of experiencing the other side of being at the whim of a cheater. You know, like there's those games where you're like, there's no way they could have made that shot. And having that at the highest levels of the game is just, it ruins it. It ruins it for everyone. And it's all the things we've been talking about, the professional integrity, you know, how it affects the sport, how it affects individuals involved. It's just, it's kid stuff. It's a kid's mistake.
Yeah, definitely should be thinking a little bit better than that. I'm sorry, I got a little bit ranty there, but I think it deserves a bit of a rant.
It's all good. I agree. It reminds me of at the Australian Esports Summit that was 6 months ago or so now, and the World of Tanks guys, Jake, I think, was on there, just talking about how they've set up the ANZPL, so there is that kind of workup system. And if you've got any strikes on your record for any reason on your account, then you don't get the opportunity to be a pro player.
Yep.
And, you know, I don't know if this guy, Flex, has had any other strikes or issues before, but reading about it, it sounds like he may have been caught up in something previously too. So,
and I must admit, I don't know how this ranking works. Whether he's number 2 in the in-game thing. So like maybe he's been playing a lot of ranked and grinded up to number 2. And not sure whether this is like he's playing it competitively or what, but yeah, it's still not a good look.
I mean, it's in the competitive mode. He's not just playing free play; he's playing ranked play. So,
yeah. But I was more because I see ranked play as distinct from esports. So I don't think he was playing in an esports league. Yeah. He was just playing ranked. Yeah.
Yeah.
But and that's another thing. If he's just playing ranked, then the only thing that can really happen is the game banning him for using the cheat, which they do on a routine basis. If they detect it, then you get banned for it. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I was catching up on an article today, and it still sounds like there's no action been taken against him, which is really surprising considering he's admitted it.
Yeah.
You know, bit longer, he says, I've done it was silly, and there's been no punishment yet for the crime.
Which sounds a little bit strange because like it's not like a ban on a Twitch streamer where it it affects Twitch's revenue, so they always look at like they'll say that it doesn't come into account, but it does. The big money earners always get looked at differently than the small fries, and it's not like it's an esports team where they look at something like a couple of years ago. Was it? It might have even. I can't remember which team it was, but like they didn't end the game when they couldn't, so they got some sanctions done because they were just griefing pretty much, making the game longer than it needed to be.
Yeah,
but there's no financial downside to this for COD Vanguard, and so you would have thought, and yes, it came up, like the apology came out yesterday, so you would have thought 24 hours, that's long enough for COD Vanguard to get together and go, yep, cool, no worries, here's a ban for this guy.
Yeah, I mean, they might have taken action already and it just hasn't been publicised, and maybe they will choose not to do that. Potentially Flex is trying to keep it quiet as well. Just disappear into the night.
Yep.
Just a bit of a shame, really.
It really is. It is sad that he thought he needed to do this, and in reality he didn't need to do that. But
no.
But anyway, that's about it for Nuts and Bolts tonight. Little bit of a downer note to end on, but don't worry, because come Monday you will have ANZPL to look at from 5 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time over on twitch.tv/World of Tanks ANZ. So definitely get amongst that. And come 10th of May, MSI. We can follow order and just see them make their way out of group, out of Rumble, all the way to the final. They're going all the way. You heard it here first.
Straight's called it. It's happening.
Yep, that's right. And I'm never wrong. Never. I thought I was wrong.
Our predictions are always perfect.
That's it. I thought I was mistaken once, but I was wrong. Yeah. But thank you, Natty, for jumping in again. Always a pleasure.
Always a wonderful night chatting esports with you, Straight.
Awesome. And everybody, thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time. Thank you so much for stopping by to watch this video. If you like what you're seeing, why not check out this video here? Or if you really like us, drop us a subscribe. And don't forget to like and comment as well. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.